soulful questions is what I would say. We start asking ourselves, okay, all of these things that I have strived for, pushed for, created in my life, the status that I have, who I believe I am, is that how I want the rest of my life to be? Is that who I want to be? And is this trajectory of my life how I would be happy for it to continue?
All right, go. Whatever. This is what we do. This is what we do.
Aloha, everybody. Have you hit that midlife meh? Today's guest, Claire Davis, is the Midlife Mentor. She helps women stop making choices that steal their time, energy, health, and happiness. Are you ready to get re-energized to do incredible things in business and life? Welcome to the 15-ish minute coffee chat and podcast with Anna and Selena. 11 seasons. Oh, Anna, can you believe it?
11 seasons.
11 seasons. You guys, me, Anna, and Claire have literally just had a whole episode before this episode. We, for a minute, I momentarily forgot we were not recording and that we hadn't even started. I'm obsessed with this lady, and Anna and I are going to go just stay with her when we go.
I know, right? When you were reading the intro, I wanted to be like, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Right.
Yes, totally. Like, I'm like totally ready to go. Like,
no,
because I'm just going to tell everybody a secret. I know I look 22, but I am midlife.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that with Claire. She's going to discuss why your outfit looks the way it does in this midlife moment. No, that's not on our list, ladies. It's hysterical. So she partners obviously with her husband. His name is James. And at some point during our talk, we thought James would be bringing cocktails. And James, that seems like the perfect name. He's so much more than that. We know. And so James, thanks for giving us Claire today if you're watching this later.
Yeah.
Okay, Anna, what's that call to action question we always like?
Yeah, so we always love to start it off with just like a let's get into the topic, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I want you to drop into the chat. Have you hit midlife meh? All right, now listen, Claire focuses on kind of that 40 and up like age group a little bit, but I remember distinctly being in my 30s, which wasn't that long ago, and saying to myself, I'm stuck, right? What am I doing with myself? Where is my life going? I don't think age is the answer here. It's not about what age you're at, what number your age says. It really is about that meh portion of it, part of it, where you've gotten to a point where maybe you just don't know what's next for you. And that's what Claire is here to do, is to help you say, throw out the trash. Let's bring in some fresh ideas, right?
Yes. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to bring up Claire's bio, and Anna is going to, I'm all excited to bring her up that I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Sorry.
You'll bring it up. You're going to drop the thing in the chat. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about Claire Davis. Claire Davis is one half of the husband and wife team. We already mentioned James, like, we know that he's around, right? Behind the multi-award winning wellness brand 38 Degrees North. That's 38degreesnorth.com, which was founded 11 years ago in Ibiza, Spain. Claire is also the founder of the Midlife Mentors, whose mission is to promote a no-nonsense, anti-fat approach to health and happiness over 40. She cuts through the noise, no fake promises, and she provides balanced, evidence-based strategies that empower people to live extraordinary lives. I love that so much. Alongside her podcast called The Midlife Mentors, which is now in the top 15% of global charts.
No, that is 1.5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
1.5.
I thought that said 15.
No.
1.5 people. This is amazing.
Yeah. This is part of the midlife problem, guys. Our eyesight also gets affected.
Speak for yourself. Claire is also the co-author of a best-selling book, a public speaker, and regularly features in national press such as the Daily Telegraph, the Sunday Times, Stylist, and the New York Times. Midlife Mentor programs, workshops, and retreats leverage Claire's experience in NLP, hypnotherapy, stress management, personal training, nutrition, gut health, and life business coaching. Claire is also a hormone specialist and a certified menopause practitioner. So seriously, if there was not a better show for Midlife Meh,
Yeah.
And yes,
I want to say, Anna, your excitement of reading just literally, like, I was going with you. We were going up this like excitement ladder. Let's just bring her on.
I am Claire's ideal client. I'm just gonna throw this out there.
Same.
So I'm so excited to talk to her.
Yes, let's bring her in.
Yes. All right, Claire, we're bringing you up.
I've been sitting here just absolutely cracking up at I thought, am I supposed to be silent in the background? Because I'm trying to stifle my absolute snorting laughter. You two are actually the best. I feel like I just want to come over and have like wine and tea with you. Let's just do it.
Let's do it. I'm not even kidding. I
love you ladies already.
Give a picture to James of us when we do show up at your front door and you're not prepared yet. And he's, these American ladies. Okay. I ain't never heard about you two.
They're my ladies. I love them already.
Exactly. Welcome to the show. We are so pumped. And
yes,
I just can't, I said this here earlier, Claire, I can't believe you said yes. And that just makes me love you even more to coming onto our little show here.
I know.
Little space.
Like, I mean, seriously, the 1.5% podcast, that's really impressive. Like you have made, you have done amazing things. And we cannot wait for you to share just some of your best practices. I don't know. What are we calling them? Tips, tricks, your secrets?
I don't know.
This to being amazing.
We had a structure for this show, but I just feel like the energy today might be all over the place, and who knows what we're going to talk about.
And who cares? It'll roll as it's supposed to roll.
Exactly. Yes. See, you heard it here, guys. Claire said, who cares?
Yes. Okay, before we go too far, though, we do have to start with our coffee cup selfie because we need to, let's make sure that we have this momentous occasion.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I don't feel as bad, Claire. I really did think it was 2 a.m. for some reason. I did the math wrong.
Oh no, I love you ladies already, but I definitely wouldn't be doing that for you. It is, however, near to my bedtime night. So I definitely I get up at 5. I get up at 5 in the morning normally. Although now I'm so excited to be on here, I'm not going to be able to get to sleep for hours now.
You just look. Let's get in a group text after this, Claire, and let's just talk through the night until you fall asleep, like old girlfriends.
I'll bore you with some more London history.
I know. My husband would be like, "How do you know more people in London now than I do?" And I'm like, "You're not cool like me. I just get to meet cool people."
English, by the way, for anyone listening and didn't know that. Selena's husband is from England. So that's why that would be a weird thing.
Just in case I'm thinking you were privy to my earlier conversation with Claire and Anna backstage. My husband is Richie, was born in England and came over to America when he was 10, and my in-laws still have their accent, and my father-in-law, his Bristol accent is very Bristol.
Yeah, I've got a very London accent. As I'm told a lot, my very London accent, and not a posh one either.
Oh, okay.
James has a very posh. James is posh.
Oh my god!
So he has a lovely posh accent, which apparently you American women would probably quite like.
Very James Bond, all the things, right?
I'll call him in now, actually. James!
Bring a cocktail!
We'll add that in as like an afterward, right? We'll just have just a video recording of him saying, "Oh, you lovely American women will love my coffee."
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to get Claire into the interview spot, and we're going to start the questions. Because again, we just said, I think we spent, 5 minutes just chatting about our visit to London.
That's what we do though. All right. So we're talking about midlife meh, right? And that's your specialty, Claire. So I think our very first question that we have, is totally going off script, because I want you to just tell everybody, what is midlife meh? What does that look like?
Such a good question. I think it looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
However, there are some real similarities in what I see with not just midlife women, but midlife men, actually. And I think what you were saying earlier about being in your 30s and having that meh, I also had that actually in my 20s and my 30s. And I'm fingers crossed now that the meh of the 40s isn't going to hit me. But I do believe that what happens is when we reach midlife, I think it becomes a very sobering reality that actually we're nearly, God willing, nearly halfway through our life. Or we might have aging parents, we will have aging parents, even our friends might be getting, it's a bit depressing, but our friends might be getting sick, we might be getting certain illnesses, aches and pains and things like that. But it's more what happens psychologically when that stuff happens, because we start asking ourselves some really soulful questions, is what I would say. We start asking ourselves, okay, all of these things that I have strived for, pushed for, created in my life, the status that I have, who I believe I am, is that how I want the rest of my life to be? Is that who I want to be? And is this trajectory of my life how I would be happy for it to continue? And we add into the mix hormones. Obviously, I talk about menopause a lot. We add that in, and that impacts us not just physically but emotionally. So we find ourselves, our mood goes up and down. We find that very hard to deal with. Our body is changing, and we're going through some big life changes. We actually call it the second adolescence, because that's actually what's happening with our hormones. When we were teenagers, those crazy hormones that just sent you wild, that's actually the second time that happens in our life. The only other time that happens in our life is at midlife. So yeah,
I'm going to send this part right here to my husband and my daughter so that it can explain those like really quick changes in the mood of the house.
Yeah.
But that totally makes sense, because you're right. I roll out of bed and my knees are hurting, and it just puts you it sets a tone emotionally.
Yeah.
I love all the things that you mentioned, because there's so many contributing factors, right? You mentioned aging parents, which is a big one, right? Yeah. And aging children, for that matter. The empty nesting syndrome is coming on the other end, and then physical changes, and then just that the emotional weight of all of that happening, and not knowing, am I in the place I want to? Did I imagine myself like here at this age? Yeah. And it does get depressing.
Yeah. And I think we can feel a bit duped, if I'm honest, because ever since we go through the school system, you go through the school system, you're like, okay, you get to the next year and then you'll be a big boy or a big girl. Then you'll get to the next one, and then you'll get to what we call like junior school, and then you'll be a big girl, and then you get to a certain age, you get to decide what you want to go to and do at university, and then when you come out and do your job. So it's always the promise that you're going to be fixed, always the promise that you're going to reach some nirvana of happiness. And what we realize again at this point in our life is, oh my goodness, happiness is not from external things, or why was I told that? But actually we've never really learnt to discover our own inner peace, and we've never really understood that happiness is an inside job, and we've certainly never been taught how to cultivate that.
Yeah.
Big changes.
Okay, so we're all here, right? I know I was joking about being in my 20s. I'm not, just in case anybody was
shocking, Anna. Shocking.
But okay, so now here we are. We've hit midlife. You've hit this moment. You're like, I feel duped. I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. What's next? Like, one of the things Selena and I really loved about of what you were saying in your intake form when you submitted it for this show was that we stopped taking risks at some point, right? So this is question number 2 coming at you. Like, why is it so important to start taking risks in midlife? Because that's a scary time to start taking risks.
We were like,
yeah, it is. And it's so, actually one of our most popular podcast episodes was around taking risks at midlife, because I think it really resonates. And we always say when we're in our early years, we play to win. And when we reach midlife, we play not to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So we play not to lose all our status, our things, our stuff, our relationships. Like we get so stuck in our comfort zone. And that's our subconscious mind's been built up over years and years of failures, or what we would call failures. But I never believe that there are failures. There's just ways that didn't work, and they'd sent us in a direction we're supposed to go in. But we build up all these kind of memories, these beliefs, these patterns of behavior, societal expectations, all of this kind of stuff. And so our subconscious mind feels more and more unsafe when you want to take a risk, because it is scared of feeling that way in the way that it did when, if it goes to the roller deck basically of your mind and goes, oh, remember when that happened, remember when that happened. So it just keeps you very stuck. And that happens to all of us. And that subconscious mind can feel very powerful, and it can feel like that's who you really are. But like actually really understanding the subconscious mind, really understanding neuroscience, that we can reprogram the neurons in our brain. We can build new neural pathways that help us take more risks. But we need to understand what our limiting beliefs are, why we keep coming up against resistance to change, why we keep self-sabotaging, all of that kind of stuff. That's really empowering. But then understanding how we can start rebuilding new neural pathways. And that only really happens when we start taking action. Yes, we can look at beliefs and we can see which ones keep us stuck, which ones are limiting us, where they came from. But then it's about really taking action to change those beliefs, but also doing the external actions. You're never going to gain confidence taking risks unless you start taking some risks. You're never gonna build momentum unless you take a step forward. And I always say, you don't have to take those risks. We're not saying crazy risks. We're not saying like put up your house up for sale and start a business. We're not saying like, we're just saying actually take some smaller risks. Go and start a new hobby, go and do a dance class, go and learn a language, start writing a book, go and do the course, go on the date, on the online date. Just put yourself in certain situations which take you out of your comfort zone, that is coming from the higher self place. I kind of call it that higher self, rather than this monkey mind that says, oh no, don't do that, that's embarrassing, if you fail you'll be humiliated, all that kind of stuff. It's really understanding those two parts of your brain and what that's saying, but actually realizing you have a higher part of yourself that is pulling you constantly to evolve. And that's the rub that we feel. That's what we feel.
Claire, you just remind me, my grandmother is 94, and she loves to go to do her thing at the YMCA where she's doing her exercise. She's the oldest one in the class. And my favorite thing was when I went to go pick her up, right? It was like picking up your kid from the school, but just to walk in, I'm like, just here for my grandma. And when she's excited. And I like what you say though, right? That makes sense. Like just taking the little risks can just give you this kind of joy. Like looking at the joy on my grandmother's face at 94.
Yeah.
That's the return on energy, right? By taking that little risk. Because I'll tell you what, her daughters are like, don't do it, you're too old, you might fall and break a bone and all the things. And she's it makes me happy.
And I also think when we've got to this stage of our life, and also this is societal as well, there is so much fear in the world. we are bombarded with fear messaging. We are bombarded with scarcity mindset, what I don't have rather than what I do have, which is again what we really ask people to focus on when they come on our programs or I coach them. But what our brain tends to do is over catastrophize what can go wrong. And actually what you want to start doing is teaching it like a child, basically, that, okay, I'm not going to go wildly off course here. I'm not going to go and do something crazy, but I am going to go and do something that will bring me joy. And that builds confidence and self-belief. And from that point, I would say I used to be really risk averse, but running my own business, I had to learn to take myself out of the comfort zone, actually see it as a signpost. If I'm feeling uncomfortable and my brain is going, no, I'm like, okay, that's a signpost that I need to do this. That's something I must do. And as I take more risks, I become less risk averse and I become more confident that I'm always going to be okay. Like, I'm always going to be okay.
So I love this conversation because I think I'm pretty adventurous just in general. The things I like to do, and maybe a little bit of an adrenaline junkie in that sense, right? Maybe a little bit. But I also, it takes me a long time to make a decision because I do go through that risk, weighing out the risk process. Selena, yes, she does. And nodding her head over there. You're muted, by the way. But yes, so when I do finally make a decision to do something, it's because I have weighed every little bit or piece before I said, this is what I'm going to do. Is that detrimental? Are you saying, does it matter how you get there as long as you're taking the risk? Does it matter if you just jump in feet first or if you spend 6 months debating the pros and cons before you decide to do it?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think as soon as it starts to feel frustrating to you, if it starts to feel frustrating to you, then you're like, okay, I'm not going to figure out any more information here. That's the thing. It's, am I going to figure out any more information? What am I waiting for? Am I waiting for someone else to validate this for me? Am I waiting for some sign outside of myself to say that this is okay?
Yeah.
And I think as soon as it starts to feel frustrating, you're like, why aren't I making a decision? That's the point at which your higher self is asking you to expand. And that's where actually starting to become very aware of your intuition and your own instinct. And that comes with practice and a process as well. It's not something that I'm genius at, not at all. But I think the more I ask for guidance, the more I'm like, okay, what should I do here? Then I'm tapping into a feeling. Once I've got all the stuff out, the to-do list, the pros and cons, once I've got it all out and I've discussed it with everyone, because I'm like that. And they're like, Claire, enough already. Geez, just make it, just go. Once I've done that, I'm like, okay, I need guidance on this. And that's meditation or journaling or something like that. Then it will just be, or a dream, even a dream. Then I'm like, okay, that was a signpost that I just need to stop faffing now. I love that word.
Anna, we need to use that. Actually, okay, Claire, Anna and I always do this. Every show, a guest says something that we think needs to be on a t-shirt in a shoppable cell. And that's yours. Faffing. And I'm like, stop faffing. I'm going to see how many times I can say it this week.
Stop faffing.
Yeah.
I was a chronic faffer for years, and I still am to a degree. And that's why I've had to learn that we can't always outthink. We're very brain focused, and actually our ancestors were very heart focused, very feeling focused.
Yeah.
And we've learned to just be constantly thinking rather than feeling. And that's the disconnection that sadly happens in the modern day world, is we have lost our connection to our own instincts and our own guiding light within us.
I loved that you just said we're trying to outthink our own selves, which keeps us in this hamster wheel of thinking.
It's interesting to me too, though, because clearly I'm taking everything you're saying and I'm applying it to me personally, right? That because like I said, I'm your ideal client in this time frame of my life right now. And so just what you were saying, I was trying to evaluate, and in my head, I'm like, on the personal side, I have no problem taking risks. I am camping, I'm hiking, I'm driving high-speed race cars, I'm jumping out of airplanes. Whatever I want to do, I just do it, right? If it hits me and I'm like, that sounds fun, I'm going to go whitewater rafting and it's going to be awesome. I love it, right? But when you shift it and you look at the entrepreneurial or business side of me, I'm like, I'm going to make the wrong choice. And all of a sudden, all that confidence I have on the personal side seems to just disappear.
Yeah.
So I liked it that you mentioned like that you had on your entrepreneurial side of things, that it's, you have to be able to make those same, stop faffing about. I put the description, not the what do you call it? Definition.
Yeah, definition.
Put it in here for anybody that doesn't know what a faffer is. Now you do.
Yeah.
But I feel like on the business side of things, it causes me a lot more stress.
Right.
So do you see that when you're working with these
all the time?
midlife? Yeah.
All the time. I see it in myself too. So I sit here, of course, like I always say, we're all learning off each other. There's not, there's again, like there's not some nirvana that you get to and you're like, oh, I've got it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. And I think what I would ask, our question I would ask with regards to that is, what are you most afraid of? So what's where's the faffing coming from? Yeah. What are you most afraid of? What?
I feel like it would come back to like security, right? Your business, your money, your stuff, all those things that you were talking about are tied to having a solid job, making good decisions, being responsible, right? Because if you're not those things, they all go away. And then I can't go jump out of airplanes or go camping or, do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because when it comes to business, like there's an either or. But I would say this, like, where did we learn that we can't have it all? Like, where did we learn that we can't have it all? Like, where did we learn that actually, if I give this up, where's that belief come from? And where did that originate in your past? Like, where did that originate from? Where did you see that showing itself in your past? Where have you seen that showing itself in society? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's true for you. It doesn't necessarily, it's just your perspective. It is just your response to those things that you've seen in your life or have happened to you in your life. That doesn't make them true.
Yeah.
So where did they come from?
Oh my gosh. You made me think of, so I'm opposite of Anna. I take a lot of risk in my business, and I don't drive fast cars. I do not camping. I don't do all that stuff. But my dad was like, he ran resorts, and I witnessed him, and Anna and I just had this conversation, but he was always like, the big risks were always there. He had to make the big decisions and whatever happened. So I think I've always been exposed to that.
Yes.
But on the home front, my mom ran it. My dad was like there, but she comes from a place of, I don't want you to be hurt, so we're not going to do this. Yeah. Versus, don't do it because you can't do it. And so it's like,
well, I'll give you an example of my own life. So I wonder if this will help, because I think sometimes we, as human beings, we learn by stories, right? That's how we pass information to each other, is through story. And so I wonder if this will be relatable. I knew really early on that I wasn't supposed to work for someone else. But I tried for 14 years to do it, and either got fired a lot or just kept leaving and just going, oh, do something else. I'll do something else. And everyone was like, oh, she just looks like this looks like chaos. This is chaos. So in my 20s, I qualified as a coach, and I was doing all these different things. And I started all these different businesses, and none of them worked. And it was so depressing and so soul destroying, because I was like, I know I'm meant to be here to serve, to help people realize their potential, but I can't get past this block. What is the block? And the block was, I don't believe I can make money doing what I love. So, and then I had to do a lot of work in digging where that came from. And that actually came from, bless my dad, we were fairly wealthy, and about the age, it was young, about the age of 11, he lost his job. And I saw what it did to the family. And then he had to do a job that he hated just to bring home the money. So I, in my, and this is only the way, my lens.
Yeah.
So my brother, so that's not actually true, because my brother didn't have that lens on. So he saw that, he's never been affected by that. I saw that as dad has to do something he hates to get money. So actually the real belief was I in order to have money, I've got to be miserable. I've got to do something that's hard graft. It can't be easy, and it can't be something I like.
That is so interesting.
And I think though, like you just saying it just talks about just when we can get to that point of self-awareness, it allows you to dig deep and do the work you need to do. Because, and I find it super fascinating about how in the same household, your sibling had a different lens.
Yeah.
Isn't it fascinating? Because it's a whole nature and nurture conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's, I always find like human behavior so fascinating. Like you can have people being brought up in exactly the same household. One goes off to be, and I know people like this, one goes off to be a multimillionaire, one ends up on drugs and nearly kills himself. And you're like, what? And we have different responses. Because we're so individual, we have different responses to the same, if you saw a car accident outside, I would have a very different version of events of what happened to everyone else.
Yeah. So what would be like your final, not your final thought, but when you're taking this information that we've been talking about, this midlife meh, making these self-actualized, like having these self-actualization conversations with yourself, taking that information, whether you do it by yourself or with a coach, right? Whatever that looks like, whatever that process looks like for you, what's like your final, what is it that you're like saying, do this, get out there? Because we talked about risk, we've talked about applying it to your entrepreneurial life. What's that big roundup message that you throw at people that are in this stage where you're, because I love what you just said, where did you learn you can't have it all? I almost feel like that might be it. You can have it all.
Yeah. That is what I would say. I would say, do you know what? First, I would say, because I was asked this on a podcast yesterday, I would say get support. Okay, so if you are feeling like really meh and really lost and really low and isolated, I would say, and I know that's really hard when you're feeling like that, because I've been there. It's really hard to reach out for support and community, but there are people there that are willing, even with free stuff. Like James and I do free stuff all the time. We've got our community, we've got so much. And you don't have to reach out to a person. This is the beauty of an online space now. You can join groups, you can feel connected to people in a very disconnected world. So do reach out for help is one thing I would really say. And the next is find those people that you can borrow belief from. Right? So when you don't have belief in yourself, you will find people that you can borrow that belief from for a while until you develop until you find a solid footing and a solid grounding of your own self-confidence. And there are people out there that literally have been designed in this world to do that with you. I've been blessed that I found those people in my life, and now I want to hold out my hand and just say, look, I don't know it all. I've got loads to learn. I am not sorted at all. I am not in any way perfect. I've got so many flaws, but I want to hold out my hand and go, okay, I believe in you this way. And we're not doing it for any other reason other than because that's what we were born to do.
So this is what's so great about this, right? You're saying it in such a way where I'm like, I can apply this to my personal life, but also my entrepreneurial life, right? as a business person, it's just as important to have those people that believe in you,
Yeah.
the business side, as it is that believe in you on the personal side, right? And sometimes they cross over, like Selena, like the three of us who are now best friends.
Right. Yeah.
We're all best friends now, right?
I know. Claire, James is going to be so sad he missed this one. Not invited to.
You missed out on this.
Yes.
But sometimes they cross over, but not all the time. And so I think that's so important. That's why like things like networking and making those connections that I know this is also something that you talked a little bit about in your intake form, just like the importance of networking and making good connections and having not just acquaintances. It goes deeper than that, right?
Yeah, totally. It's actually about, and this is a mistake I made especially during COVID. So I think we all became quite insular. Like we had to button down our other business, 38 Degrees North, which is the retreats company. That was our main source of income. And when no one could travel, we had no business. So we had to pivot very quickly, and it was heads down. It was striving. It was I would say, a very masculine energy. I can't really go into whole masculine, feminine energy right now, but the most important thing is that we balance those two within ourselves. But it was a very masculine energy. I was on high alert. I was in stress mode. I was like, we've got to knuckle down and get this sorted. And it's taken me until February, March this year to really understand that the body keeps score. And actually I had become quite insular and just really focusing on my clients rather than how important connection was for me. And I did a piece on values. So I did a piece on values work with someone. And what came up top was connection. I was like, and they said, where are you finding connection in your life? And I was like, I'm not. This is why I feel so bereft actually inside. And as the human condition is we need to have community, right? And that's why COVID was so awful for so many people. But it's so important. Connection is we did a podcast on this. A lack of connection has been linked to ill health, the deterioration of the brain, the aging of the body just in general. So connection is absolutely key for life longevity and happiness and health. And in business, so I am just at the moment just loving how many beautiful women I'm connecting with when you're vulnerable, when you open up your heart, when you're coming from a good space and you're coming from a collaboration space. There is just not an ounce of competitiveness there. It's just how can we help each other? And that is what the world needs, I think. And it can come from women. It's what we're designed to do. That really beautiful feminine energy of connecting with each other, loving each other, supporting each other. That is what us women need to do more of.
Yes.
Not bitch at each other, not fight. Come on, like how do we raise each other up? Because you raise one up, the next one comes, and then all of a sudden we're changing communities, we're changing countries, we're changing as much as we possibly can.
Yes. My gosh, I feel like we're ready to start a revolution.
Yeah.
Yes, ladies.
Right.
It's really amazing.
Our shirt is going to say "not a faffer," so get out of here.
We are not faffing about.
Yes, we are not.
Please get t-shirts like that made and send me across. I'll be around the gym.
Yeah. Yes, we're going to hand deliver it to you in London, because that's just how strongly I think Anna and I feel about this. Everything you're saying is just like, yes, that's what I want to be a part of. That's what I'm drawn to. And that's what helps. I don't know. Like you said, the more we help each other up and lead each other up, it's just going to be a better place all around.
I would love for anyone that's listening right now or watching this show, either podcast or live stream or however it is that you're listening. What is your community? Drop it, right? Somebody is searching right now. I would love to hear where you've found that home or where you've found that community. And if you don't have one, let us know, right? Maybe we can connect you or find you or do something to help you, because I do feel like you're speaking my language, Claire. That is just, that's my love language, right? I would be so sad if I didn't have friends.
No.
So sad.
You guys can't have Claire. She's ours, though, okay? Anybody else but Claire. Share her. You can have her Mondays. That's it.
I love that she says that like into her microphone. Like, you can't have Claire.
I love you both so much. You're just brilliant. You can't have Claire.
I'm kind of sad because I feel like we're already over. Yes, our show's 15-ish, but we were like, we're going to give it a solid 30 this time. And we're like, I know Anna and I could talk to you all day long, Claire.
We're rolling around the 40-minute mark, and I'm like, I got 400 more questions I can ask.
I can come back on.
Yeah.
We definitely.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We're going to find many different ways to have you in our circle. And whether that means we do a live podcast. This is me getting us to London again, like a live podcast in London with Claire, wherever that is.
I would love that. You know? Listen, I would, you know, because of the energy, the collaboration, it is so important that when you find women, like we're finding each other now, it's so important that we make the effort to keep that alive. So I'd love to be involved in anything you ladies do. I think you are absolutely friggin' fabulous. I really do.
No, you're friggin' fabulous. Like,
oh, you are.
No. I can do this all day, Claire. James is going to be like, I don't know what kind of interview you were doing.
He's probably like, I'm in bed, Claire. Can you stop cackling?
These are midlifers. Get to bed.
We're up at 5. What are you doing?
Do not bring this energy into the bedroom, please. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. So here's what we always offer a toolkit.
We always
to our listeners and all the things. And so we want Claire to share why everybody needs to go over.
This is just basically to see where you are. This is a little quiz that we have on our site. You can find this on our website, themidlifementors.com. But this is just a quiz to work out your midlife health and happiness score, because we want you to be like an integrated approach. It's not just about health, it's about happiness as well. So if you take the quiz, you end up with whatever outcome you have. You'll get a kind of personalized video and then a report as well to give you some really actionable tips to start shifting the needle on some of the areas that you might need to work on.
Yeah, because there's a little thing in her line here that says, are you surviving rather than thriving at midlife, right? Yeah. I know I want to be thriving. And so I want everybody to be thriving. And I feel like Claire wants that too. And James. They want that, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And James. Yeah. There he is. Oh, look, he's made an appearance in that top photo there.
He's there. That's James, everybody.
He's real.
He is real. We did not make him up because that is like the best like butler name and a drink fetcher and a mail carrier and a door opener when you arrive home.
Yeah, that's basically my skivvy. Yeah.
Okay, no, yes, so take this.
You can go find it directly on Claire's website, which she gave to you earlier, or we collect all the things from every episode we do, and we always put it in a blog. So all the places you can find everything we've talked about at annaandselena.com/blog, and there will be one specifically for Claire and the Midlife Meh conversation.
I think Claire's going to have just her own special place on the website. So their new bestie.
It will say, we are going to change the thing. So it says, our bestie, Claire Davis, right?
So and then in very small letters, and James. Just in case, because he must come with you, right?
He does. We are a double act. I'm the better one.
Right. That's why you got the big headline. He's like that. Oh, this is the next movie playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you take this quiz,
if
you decide to take action on it, drop it into your social platforms somewhere and tag us in it. Okay. Yes. Again, all the places to tag will be in that blog post. So go find it. Let us know. Tag us. Let us know that you're doing something about the Midlife Meh, because I'm feeling really inspired right now. Like, I'm going to go take a risk today. Yes. I don't know what it's going to be, but
I know what it is, Anna.
I know. I have a million for her. I can come to her office in 5 minutes and I'm going to make her very anxiety ridden, but she can do the same to me on my personal. She'll be like, all right, let's go camp outside.
Yeah. You should actually just do a risk swap. That's what you should do. A risk swap. And stay accountable to each other and obviously to me.
Yeah, what's up, Claire? You're always a given now. It's Anna, Selena, and Claire. If we go in order, it's Anna, Claire, and Selena. We'll go ACS. Like, you know,
maybe I'll get involved in the whole risk swap.
Yeah.
That was what I could do.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm getting all excited.
I know. I feel like that's like a whole that's like a mini workshop we need to do or something like that.
Do it.
Let's think that out.
Yeah.
I think that could be amazing.
Okay. So the last slide that we will share is
because who doesn't want to connect with Claire, right? Claire, tell everyone where they can find you, the best places to go.
Yeah.
I think probably the best place is like the midlifementors.com, the website. We are on Instagram, we are on YouTube. Something weird and crazy happened on TikTok. I refused to go on it last year. My business coach told me that I must. But I said, there's no midlifers on there, don't be ridiculous. And I put one video up and I went to 90,000 followers.
Oh my God.
And now it's gone down a little bit because I can't be bothered to post all the time.
No.
I was like, oh, well, it's not really 90,000 followers. And I'm like, yeah, because I can't be bothered to constantly go on TikTok. So yeah, it did go up to 90,000. It's dropping away a bit now, but you know, I can't be everywhere. But yeah, so the Midlife Mentors website is probably the best place.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Awesome. And remember, only on Mondays because she's ours the rest of the time. You're busy for TikTok, so why not? We'll just give everybody Monday.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. If you're not doing so much TikTok now, you can just spare some more time.
Claire, okay, I'm just playing our little, not just that background music we talked about.
Yes.
It's gonna pop on, I think. I don't know, but Claire, thank you. Honestly, I know we're gonna talk to you backstage, so don't you go anywhere.
I'll stay backstage. I'll stay on. Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And I know that there's a lot of people in our audience that can relate to everything you have said today.
Everything. Yes.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved every minute of it. I think you two are absolutely awesome and what you're doing is incredible. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah. All right, guys. We will catch you on the next show.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.